What is up, guys? In this video, we're going to talk about the 5 things that I wish I would have known in my early 20s that would have, expedited my path to success and made it much faster and easier just by knowing these 5 simple things. So the first one that we're going to talk about is growth comes normally from doing the opposite of what people tell you to do. And that's kind of a counterintuitive one, but it's very, very important to understand because most of our lives as kids, we're kind of taught to do what people tell you to do. You're supposed to do what your parents say, you're supposed to do what your teachers say, and it forms this habit where when people of authority tell you to do something, you just kind of blindly do it without actually questioning that. People tell you you should go get a job, people tell you you should go to school, people tell you you should study hard, people tell you you should do your homework, brush your teeth, all of these different things, right? And while many of those things are important to actually do, you have to be able to actually question it for yourself and wonder whether or not you're doing the right thing, because there's not always a right answer. Because most people will tell you, go to school, go to college. Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of college, right? Did he do the wrong thing because he didn't listen to what people said? He went on to go make $100 billion, multiple $100 billion company. And so in most people's eyes, he did the right thing. But if he had listened to what everyone told him to do, right? I bet his parents told him not to drop out of Harvard. I bet, his friends and family and everyone was telling him not to do that, but he did it, right? And that is where growth comes from, doing the opposite of what people tell you to do. I know when I was an accountant, everyone told me to, it was a great job and, I should be grateful for it. 500 people applied. I got the only position, right? Blah, blah, blah. Everyone in my life was telling me to do that. And I did the opposite, right? I went out on my own. I started to become an entrepreneur. I created a YouTube channel and, hundreds of thousands of subscribers later and 10,000 plus students from around the world, many of which are making thousands and thousands of dollars every single year. If I hadn't have done the opposite of what people told me to do, then I would still be an accountant right now. And so the moral is, you have to look at the bigger picture. You have to decide what you want to do with your life, and you have to make decisions to actually go out and get that, even if it means doing the opposite of what people tell you. Number 4 is self-education versus formal education. I did not understand the difference when I was in my early 20s. I wish I would have had somebody tell me on a video, just like I am for you right now, that college is not the only path. I thought, and my parents told me, and most of my friends were doing the same thing. I thought that college was really what everyone did after high school, but that's not necessarily the case. And this isn't me telling you don't go to college. This is me telling you that there are other options if you don't want to go to college and you'd rather start a business, or you'd rather travel, or you'd rather do other things. Remember, the world is beautiful because you're able to do whatever you want. You're able to live whatever life you want. Don't think that you have to go to college. And then understanding the fact that formal education versus self-education are 2 entirely different beasts. Some people just can't learn from a textbook. I don't learn from a textbook. I learn from literally getting in the trenches, opening my computer, and doing something. And I'll tell you this, that nothing can teach you like experience. There's no better way to learn how to do something than through experience. That's why they have internships. That's why there's mentorship programs. And that's why the people who are the most successful are the ones who do things, right? Because you get good at what you do. You learn the little nuances, you learn things about what you're doing, and you become an expert with it over time. But if you didn't actually do it, right, you can't learn how to start a YouTube channel from a textbook. You have to do it. You have to be there. You have to actually film. You have to see what works. You have to see what doesn't. Look at the analytics. Look what your competitors are doing, right? If you're reading a textbook in a formal education setting, what's going to happen is you're learning antiquated information. You're learning stuff that's older, right? Because the textbook was published 2 years ago and it took them a year to actually edit it and get it out. And so you're learning things that are multiple years old and sometimes completely irrelevant because of how fast the world changes. And so the moral of the story there is that experience is the best teacher and nothing can actually replace that. So my recommendation to you is get out there and start doing things. Start an Amazon business, start a Facebook ads, SMMA, start a Shopify company, create your own course, right? Start a YouTube channel, whatever it is. Start something and actually learn through experience, because I think Mark Twain said it, that you can learn something grabbing a cat by the tail that you can learn in no other way. And that's one of my favorite quotes because it really illustrates that the best way to learn things is through experience. Number number 3 is that if everybody's saying something about you, then it's probably true. And this is actually a very tough one for me to learn, and this is one that really humbled me, because when you're in your early 20s, most people think that they're invincible. Most people think that they're amazing and they have this big ego, right? You just got to college, you just graduated high school, you just got some new cool job, you're making more money than you've ever made before, which is all well and good, right? But making sure that you stay humble and making sure that you are able to actually self-reflect and see how the world is seeing you is a very, very important thing that I wish I knew more in my early 20s. So if everybody's saying that, you're an or everybody's saying that you're not fun to be around, or everybody's saying that you always talk about yourself, and you're thinking to yourself, what? No, I don't. That's crazy, right? The problem is, if everyone's saying the same thing about you, then it's probably true. And it wasn't till I actually learned this that I realized that everybody is just struggling to get through life. Everybody has their own problems, and there's no reason why you should be like an angry or mean or unpleasant person. Just be happy, be grateful that you have a healthy body, that you exist, and you have this beautiful opportunity that is life, and treat people with respect and be happy and actually be grateful and excited to see your friends and family, and you're gonna live a much happier, healthier life. And so the moral of the story is, sometimes it's very, very positive and healthy for you to take a step back and review what people's opinions are of you versus fact. And if everybody's saying the same thing about you, then maybe it is important for you to actually have some self reflection and have some time, some introspective time to actually learn and evolve and grow, and even face it head on and say, hey, if everybody thinks I'm an asshole, then I'm gonna apologize to all my friends and tell them that I'm gonna work on it, specifically by doing X, Y, and Z. And those things in the long run are gonna pay off huge for you. And the number 2 thing that I wish I knew in my early 20s is that arguing over people's views or philosophies or views on politics, religion, any of that stuff is just not worth your time or effort. Because at the end of the day, most people just regurgitate what the mainstream media is telling them about politics anyways, and that most of us don't actually have an intimate knowledge about politics ourselves, and we're just posting things on Facebook to try to get reactions out of people. So when you actually react and when you get upset about politics or religion or philosophies or anything that has a really strong opinions associated with it, what you're doing is you're letting those people win, right? So don't let yourself be affected by people's views on politics and things that are completely outside of your control. Instead, just become humble and respect other people's opinions and respect other people's beliefs. And it's okay that they have different opinions than you. You can have your own opinions as well, but you don't have to try to force your opinions on anyone else. Everyone is entitled to free will. Everyone is entitled to have their own opinions. And the sooner that you actually accept that and are comfortable and happy with other people having their own unique opinions, then life is gonna become so much easier and so much happier for you. All right, guys, and the number 1 most important thing that I wish I would have known in my 20s, we will get to in just 1 second, but I wanted to give a shout out to our daily comment winner. And if you wanna be our next daily comment winner and get a shout out on our video, all you have to do is one simple thing. Leave a comment on this video that lets me know what the number 1 thing you learned in your 20s was, right? And if you're not older than 20, tell me the number 1 thing that you learned, in the past in the comment section. I love hearing from you guys. So let me know the number 1 lesson that you've learned that has changed your life. So number 1, guys, the number 1 most important thing I wish I knew in my 20s was take action and pull the trigger. You have to just go out there and do it. You have to go out there and take it, and it doesn't matter what it is. Maybe it's going to talk to some cute girl or guy at a bar or a coffee shop that you've seen a couple of times, or maybe the gym, right? You have to take action and do it, because the number 1 thing that I hear from my older students and older people that I'm friends with is the one thing that can ruin your life is a life of regret. So don't ever have regrets. Go out and take action. If you want to start a business, do it. If you want to start a YouTube channel, record it today, right? If you want to go talk to somebody, literally go and do it. What's the worst thing that can happen if you try to start a YouTube channel today? You might get a couple of downvotes and some comments, and life goes on. What's the worst thing that could happen if you go out and you actually start talking to that beautiful girl at the gym? What's the worst thing, right? She might say she has a boyfriend or she doesn't want to talk to you, and life goes on. So the point is, guys, go out and take action, because no one is going to take action for you. Nobody's going to get you the life that you want. You have to take it for yourself, and the only way to do that is by taking action and going out there and getting it, because your brain fights action as hard as it can. Think about it like this. If you have a specific way that you go to work or go to school, you know, on your bike or walking or taking your car, you always take the same path. That's because the human mind works with habits, right? It's literally difficult to break outside of those habits. You have to establish new neurological pathways in your brain just to change basic habits. But if you don't start today, you never have a chance to actually break out of those habits. And so what I like to do is gamify my habits. And what I mean by that is that I'll literally make it a game, right? Let's say that I'm trying to work out more or go on a diet or actually wake up earlier. What I'll do is I'll find my best friend or my girlfriend or my boyfriend or my husband or wife or whatever it is, no matter where you are, right? Find what I call an accountability partner. What an accountability partner is they help you change your habits. So what I'll say to like my best friend is I'll say, hey bro, if I don't wake up at 8 a.m. and send you a text at 8:01 a.m., right? Maybe I'm trying to wake up earlier. I'll say, if I don't wake up at 8:01 a.m., I'll literally send you $1,000 and I'll make it a real amount of money, right? And so what I'll do is instead of dreading waking up at 8 a.m., I'll turn it into a game for myself and I'll say, okay, I'm not gonna like lose this game, right? My competitive side comes out. And so I'll wake up at 7:30 a.m. every day on the dot just so I win the game and just so I don't actually have to pay him, $1,000. And that's a really good way that I've used to actually gamify the habits in my life. And it's one of the ways that I've been able to actually create very positive habits in my own life by gamifying it, right? Making it a fun game, making it a competition versus actually just dreading it. Because motivation is actually key to becoming a better person. So if you want to learn more, what I want you to do right now is check out this video right here on the 5 keys to motivation. Because the truth is, if you are energized and you are motivated, then you can do anything in life. What is the actual science that backs up motivation? And more importantly, how can you always keep your motivation high? We're gonna talk about why some people are more successful and driven